5 teenage champions. G-Force, guardians of space, fighting for good over evil.
G-Force once ruled Saturday mornings with superpowered orphans in bird suits, then vanished after 85 episodes, leaving kids stranded on a cliffhanger. Today, you're getting 10 mind-blowing facts about the show that made Battle of the Planets look tame.
Just let me get a laser bead on it. This will be their last attack.
I believe that's what you said last time.
Number 10. The name game was absolutely ridiculous. Ever feel like you were watching a completely different show than your older siblings remembered? You weren't losing your mind. The 1986 producers went nuclear, renaming literally everyone to sound like action figures. Mark became Ace Goodhart because subtlety died in the 80s. Jason transformed into Dirk Daring, which sounds like a soap opera character who solves crimes on his lunch break. And poor Tiny got saddled with Hoot Owl, sometimes just Hootie, as if the guy wasn't already driving a space RV and dealing with enough identity issues. These weren't tweaks. They were complete identity makeovers designed to distance G-Force from the 70s version and make every character sound like they belonged on a lunchbox. The result? A lineup that sounded like it came from a random word generator at a toy company pitch meeting after too much coffee. Did it work? Well, you're here watching this 3 decades later, so maybe the absurdity was the point all along.
Ken, I'm not taking your orders anymore. I'm blasting him with a bird missile. Wait! Get out of my way.
Ryu, bring us up close to the monster.
Number 9. The Firebird mode could kill the entire team. The Phoenix wasn't just their ride. It was basically a suicide button with wings and a paint job that screamed danger. When things got desperate, the team could activate Firebird mode, which transformed their ship into a literal flaming bird that could melt through enemy fortresses like butter on a hot skillet. The catch? This wasn't some video game power-up with a cooldown timer. Pushing the engines to those extremes risked tearing the Phoenix apart mid-flight, potentially killing everyone inside in a blaze of heroic stupidity that would make their parents very upset. Think about that for a second. These orphaned teenagers were regularly betting their lives on whether their spaceship could handle becoming a sentient fireball without disintegrating. No wonder Ace always looked stressed and aged like a middle manager. Every mission could end with them as space debris if the hull gave out at the wrong moment. It was the ultimate high-risk, high-reward move that made every transformation scene genuinely tense. Remember holding your breath, waiting to see if they'd survive their own finishing move? That wasn't just dramatic tension, it was legitimate concern.
Jun, be careful. If you die, remember, we die together.
Just leave it to me.
Number 8. Red Impulse was Ace's dead dad all along. Here's where G-Force got heavy and delivered emotional gut punches between the explosions. Throughout the series, this mysterious ace pilot named Red Impulse kept showing up to help the team during impossible missions, flying solo and disappearing like a ghost. Turns out, Red Impulse was Ace Goodhart's father, who had faked his own death years earlier to go deep undercover investigating Galactor without compromising his family. Imagine being Ace. You're leading a team of super soldiers while your supposedly dead dad is out there flying solo missions and can't even tell you he's alive because operational security matters more than feelings. This wasn't just a plot twist. It was genuinely tragic family drama wrapped in a Saturday morning cartoon like a wolves in sheep's clothing situation. Ace had grown up believing his father abandoned him or died a coward, only to discover the man sacrificed everything, including his son's trust and childhood, to fight the same enemy from the shadows. Their eventual reunion scenes hit different when you realize how much time they'd lost and how many conversations they'd never have. It's the kind of emotional complexity that made G-Force feel more mature than anything else in the time slot and stuck with you long after.
This is Gatchaman, currently on patrol. Over.
This is Nambu.
Number 7. They promoted the villain to absolute power. Remember Galactor, that creepy masked villain who ran the evil empire with an iron fist and disturbing fashion sense? In the original Japanese version, Bird Katsa was just middle management, a high-ranking subordinate taking orders from an alien overlord like any corporate drone. But American producers looked at that dynamic and said, nah, let's make him the master and give him the corner office. They completely rewrote his role so Galactor became the supreme commander calling all the shots, while the alien entity Computer got demoted to basically a glorified consultant who occasionally offered advice from the cheap seats. This wasn't a small change. It fundamentally shifted the power structure of the entire show and every conflict within it. Instead of a tragic puppet controlled by cosmic forces beyond his understanding, G-Force's Galactor was the architect of his own evil empire, with nobody to blame but himself. He made the calls, gave the orders, and bore full responsibility for every attack on Earth and every scheme that failed. It made him more intimidating and more personal as an enemy who you could genuinely hate. Sometimes giving the villain a promotion is exactly what a show needs to raise the stakes.
We can't destroy it yet. I can, believe me. Just let me get up. Look, Jason, it's only one attack vehicle.
Number 6. They deleted that annoying robot. Thank God. If you grew up on the 70s version, Battle of the Planets, you remember Zark 7, that insufferable robot narrator who explained everything like you were 5 years old. G-Force looked at that character and hit the delete button with extreme prejudice. 0 robot narrators. None. The 1986 version was a purist attempt that let the actual team handle exposition, making the show feel immediately more serious and action-focused. This was a massive statement. We trust you to follow the plot without a mechanical babysitter. No more cutaways to Center Neptune where Zark would recap what you just watched. Just 5 highly trained operatives, their missions, and the war against Galactor. The absence of Zark 7 was one of the biggest reasons G-Force felt like it respected your intelligence. Sometimes less really is more, especially when less means ditching cartoon filler for actual story.
Doctor, do you think it's the monster robot?
Yes, I'm certain it's the monster robot.
Number 5. The softened violence was hilariously transparent. Here's the tightrope G-Force walked. They wanted to keep the intense fight scenes and actual stakes from the Japanese original, but American broadcast standards said no way. The solution? Softened dialogue that tried to convince you nobody actually died. A city gets leveled by missiles? Don't worry, it was evacuated 5 minutes before. Enemy soldiers explode in combat? Actually, those were all robots, so it's totally fine. This created unintentionally hilarious moments where the visuals showed obvious carnage, while the characters calmly explained that everyone was definitely okay. Unlike Battle of the Planets, which cut the violence entirely, G-Force kept the action but added a verbal safety net. You knew what you were really seeing, they knew you knew, but everyone played along so the show could air. It was the 80s version of, he's just sleeping after the family dog situation.
Let's dive, Ryu.
Roger that.
Number 4. The soundtrack was one loop on repeat, forever. Budget constraints in 80s syndication could get brutal, and G-Force's music situation was proof. Composer Dean Andre had grand plans for a full orchestral score like the Japanese original. Instead, due to time and money issues, the show used a single repetitive synthesizer loop during almost every quiet moment. The same electronic melody over and over, filling dead air to keep kids' attention between explosions. If that synth line is suddenly playing in your head right now, congratulations, you've been permanently programmed. It was actually a stripped-down version of the opening theme, recycled endlessly because they literally couldn't afford more music. While the Japanese version had lush, cinematic scoring, American kids got the equivalent of elevator music on a 5-second repeat. Yet somehow it became iconic through sheer repetition. Your brain learned to associate that loop with Saturday morning adrenaline, and no amount of therapy will fix it.
Ears on. What's up?
That mummy you saw just landed at the airport.
Number 3. Ace Goodhart's Razor Boomerang was cooler than it sounds. Team leader Ace Goodhart wasn't just about the ridiculous name, he backed it up with genuinely creative weaponry. His signature tool was the Razor Boomerang, a throwing weapon that could disable enemies, slice through cables, and return to his hand like a loyal attack dog. But Ace didn't just chuck boomerangs around. He also carried a multi-purpose gun and a seemingly endless supply of feather shuriken for close combat. What made Ace compelling wasn't the gadgets, it was how he used them. He was the stoic, mission-obsessed leader who prioritized Earth's safety over his own mysterious family history. Remember fact number 8? Every weapon choice reflected his tactical mindset, precision over brute force, strategy over emotion. The Razor Boomerang became symbolic of Ace himself. Sharp, reliable, and always coming back for another round. If you had the toy version, you absolutely tried to make it work like the show, and probably broke something.
Wonder what they'll look like this time, Mark?
Probably two-headed.
Well, they say 2 heads are better than 1.
Number 2. Agatha June was blowing stuff up with yo-yos. In an era when female characters were often sidelined as damsels, G-Force gave us Agatha June, Aggie to her teammates, who was equal parts technical genius and demolitions expert. Her signature weapon? High-tech explosive yo-yos. Not metaphorical yo-yos, actual yo-yos packed with enough firepower to level enemy installations. She'd casually throw what looked like a toy, and seconds later, entire structures would collapse. Beyond the weaponized childhood nostalgia, Aggie was the team's technical expert who designed gadgets and solved engineering problems under pressure. Her swan-winged uniform wasn't just for show, it represented her role as both graceful and deadly. While other shows were still figuring out how to write capable female characters, G-Force handed Aggie a bag of explosive toys and let her work. If you remember thinking she was cooler than half the guys on the team, you were paying attention.
I can't just watch this. Ryu, move us in closer.
Hold it! You're not gonna disobey orders.
Number 1. They literally lost an episode's script. Here's the wildest production disaster you never knew about. Episode 81 of the original Gatchaman series doesn't exist in G-Force. Not because of violence, not because of censorship, because the production team literally never received the English translation script from the Japanese studio. Just didn't get it. So they skipped it entirely and hoped nobody would notice the continuity gap. This wasn't a creative choice. It was a bureaucratic nightmare that contributed to the series' disjointed feel and premature ending. Imagine trying to follow a story where a random chapter vanishes because someone forgot to hit send on an international fax. The missing episode created plot holes that were never resolved, leaving fans confused about character motivations and story threads that suddenly disappeared. It's the equivalent of your favorite show randomly jumping ahead one episode and pretending nothing happened. Professional? No. Memorable? Absolutely.
Our mission is to keep an eye on the monster turtle and find the location of the Galactor headquarters.
Bonus fact: the forbidden ending America never saw. Want to know why G-Force stopped at episode 85 and left you hanging? The remaining 6 untranslated episodes contained the actual conclusion to the Galactor War, including the tragic death of Dirk Daring, Joe, the team's second in command. That's right, the hothead who always charged in first was supposed to die heroically in battle, but American networks deemed it too intense for Saturday morning television. Those final episodes featured some of the series' most violent yet emotionally powerful moments, showing the true cost of their endless war. But instead of seeing the story through, US kids got stuck in perpetual combat with no resolution, no closure, and no idea their favorite characters had completed arcs they'd never witness. Somewhere in the multiverse, there's a timeline where American audiences got the full ending. We got permanent blue balls instead. So there you have it, 10 wild facts, plus a bonus about the show that proved Saturday mornings could handle real stakes, actual character development, and synthesizer loops that haunt your dreams. From missing scripts to forbidden endings, G-Force was messy, ambitious, and unapologetically intense for its time slot. Were you Team Aggie with the explosive yo-yos? Or did that Firebird suicide mode revelation hit different? Until next time, G-Force fans, transmute.